Hello and welcome in. My name is Michael Rolfs. I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker, and today I am talking about SB79. I'm going to talk about how it just took effect July 1st. So, about 15 days ago, SB79 came into effect, and now people are able to build 5 to 9 story apartments or condos next to mass transit. So, that means if you're within a quarter mile, you can go up to 9 stories. If you're within a half mile, or I'm sorry, yeah, within a half mile, you can go 5 to 7, sometimes 8 stories. And so all of that is right happening right now in our area. So it's an interesting time to say the least. I made a video about this a few weeks ago, and got a big response. A lot of people reached out to me asking questions, worried about, oh gosh, am I going to have a 7 story apartment building right behind my house or right next to my house? And honestly, you could, but probably not going to happen for a long time. And so I just kind of want to dive into all the details. If you have questions, go ahead, put them in the chat. Happy to answer any of your questions as they come up. But SB 79 is also known as the Abundant and Affordable Homes Near Transit Act. And so, what that's doing is it's allowing, we're short 2.5 million homes here in California. So, they're trying to figure out ways that they can build up in areas and what makes sense. But what this bill does is it's overriding local plans, and it's basically having the state tell our local commissions that their plans are no longer good. That basically the state's going to know better, um, and that they should put this mass density housing up, which isn't a bad thing. We need more housing. That's definitely true. I don't know how I would feel if I had one of these being put right around the corner from me. It's definitely going to increase traffic, parking. There's already a lot of that happening in our area. So I think there's definitely things that they need to figure out. And like I said, July 1st was when this immediately took effect. I actually wanted to share my screen because a lot of people weren't sure where to look at to find where this is happening. So I want to show you guys the regional map here in Silicon Valley where you can see this. So give me a second to share my screen. So from what you can see here, this is the main mtc.cal.gov plan site, and kind of midway down there's a regional map, and if you click this map, comes up that this is the bill, and basically that this is still a work in progress. And why still a work in progress is cities are still able to submit plans that can override this. Actually, Palo Alto is doing that right now. Um, it's a little bit tricky, but they have to keep the same number of houses that would be done, but they can kind of choose what streets they're putting it on. But here's the plan of, you can see tier twos and tier ones. So if you go into San Jose, you can really see where these tiers are happening. So you can see downtown San Jose by 87. You obviously have a lot of light rail around there that is going to increase the density there. But as you go down, here's 87. You can see, okay, here's tier two. You get closer in some of these other tiers, those can be built up. They actually have plans right now happening over by Capitol, by the Capitol station, 87 and Capitol, over by, I always can never pronounce this right, but Narvaez Avenue. They have plans already for what they're going to build there. A high rise is going to be a little bit of both housing and commercial on the bottom. But you can kind of see how this tier two really follows that BART, or I'm sorry, follows light rail down all the way down to the Santa Teresa station in Cottle. Now, Caltrain is where you're going to get the biggest builds. So that's where they can go up to 95 feet. And if you're within 200 feet of the station, you can actually go 115 feet up. So in those areas by the Deer Drawn station is a big one. So you're going to see a lot of things pop up around Deer Drawn. That's going to be a big hub where they want to build out. Probably a good thing. I mean, I think having um, housing next to transit makes a lot of sense if you're commuting. I mean, I've taken Caltrain to San Francisco numerous times, and it works fantastic. I'm actually excited to see BART extend down to Dearborn. I think that's going to really help streamline things. I know I'm seeing a few more people come on. If you have questions, please make sure you put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer. We're talking about SB79. Um, but you can really kind of see how it splitters off here. And then up top here, again, these are your kind of Caltrain routes that go along. I think that's what 237 or Tasman there. So you can see where they're going to be really building out is right along those lines in each stop. It's a fascinating thing. But that's the map and how you can get to the map. But I also kind of want to show you guys. So Palo Alto, some developers actually jumped in and started building and getting their plans, trying to get them approved right away before Palo Alto blocked access to get their own plan set. Because Palo Alto, they want to have control of where this housing goes and how it is used. They don't want people to sorry, I'm looking, someone commented. But they want to be able to control more of where it goes and how the density is spread out. I think cities should have a little bit of control over it. They know what works and what doesn't work for their city, in my opinion. You might disagree with that, but I think the state has requirements and they're trying to get, again, we're 2.5 million, 2.5 million homes short. And they're saying that this is going to make up about 1.5 million homes over the course of time. And does this reduce the value of single family homes? I don't believe it does. So I've talked to a lot of people. Let me stop sharing that. I've talked to a lot of people since my first video came out talking about this. And actually someone came in that said that they did this exact thing in Canada. I think it was in Toronto. They owned a home up there. And this exact sort of situation came up. And what they said was it actually increased the value of single family homes because single family homes became more rare. So you saw density increase, kind of what that map showed over by those transit sites in the city areas. But as you kind of got more to the suburbs and you got more land and more single family homes, you started seeing the increase in value because it was more rare. So, I think you will definitely see that happen because people still are going to want their space. They don't want to live on top of each other. I mean, that's conversations I have with people every day is when we go look at homes, how is the noise? Are you having a lot of traffic drive by the homes? Can you hear your neighbors? So a lot of these are going to be built as apartments and maybe some condos in there, low income in some areas. They're all going to have requirements for low income levels. I don't know the exact percentage of that, but that is definitely something that all these get added to. I'm just kind of looking, I have a few notes here, making sure I hit some of these points, but basically for the tier 1, which is the closest to, so within a quarter mile, you're going to see basically 75 feet to 90 feet high, and they're going to have up to about 100 units in those areas. Now that is per acre. And I think where you're going to see those pop up first is you're going to see them pop up in commercial zoned areas first. And why I say that is because that's going to be your easiest in. If you're a developer, if you're someone that is looking to build an apartment or multi-unit, buying multiple single family homes is expensive. It takes time. And so that entry point is a lot more expensive than buying maybe a rundown shopping center. Buying one of those and then building up from there. So you'll see it on the outskirts of neighborhoods more first than you would actually see it in the actual neighborhood. Now, that doesn't mean that if you live kind of on the outskirts of a neighborhood with a shopping center behind you, that definitely could get redeveloped and you could end up with a 7-story building behind you that has apartments. So that's definitely something to think about. But it's also going to make your land more valuable kind of as this starts going and growing. And now this just took effect July 1st. So we haven't really seen the full impact of this. It's going to take time before we really see what's happening and how it's going to play out. And my best guess is you're going to see some lawsuits that come up because people don't want to live right next to an apartment. I mean, to be fair, if you own a home and you bought it knowing that it was one thing and now they're going to completely rezone it, that seems like not the most fair thing. So I'm curious to see what the courts rule for that and how that plays out. And again, if you have any questions, we're talking about SB79, please drop them into the chat. A lot of people were concerned that their neighborhood was going to be completely rezoned and all of a sudden they're going to be living next to giant apartments or condos. So just trying to kind of ease that a little bit. And, I don't think that's really what's going to happen, especially at first. Again, we're going to see a lot of commercial stuff get developed first. But it's really, just an interesting thing. I think BART, that extension is going to really be a fascinating case study as that goes down. It's going down Capitol right now and it's going to finish at the East Ridge. I think that is a really interesting area to keep an eye on. I'd be curious to see how that grows over the next 5 years as that's completed. And then you start seeing townhomes, condos, apartments build that area up. I think that's definitely an area where you'll see home values go up even with the evergreen area just right next to it. The single family homes there, I think, will do really well with that BART because now you've just gained access to Oakland and San Francisco by hopping on a train. That's big. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who have commented before that who wants to ride BART or who wants to ride Caltrain, they're crummy. I yes and no, but I think there's a lot of people who would rather ride those than be in the car for 2 hours in traffic. So I think there is something to be said for that, for having good transit options. Like I said, I used to take Caltrain up to San Francisco. I do it for work sometimes. I would go up to the Giants game. Anytime I went to a Giants game, hop on the train, take it up from San Jose, enjoy a beer on the train. That was always the greatest way to go. It's just easier. You don't have the traffic to worry about. You can sit back and relax. Was there some interesting people always on the train and on BART and light rail? But you know what? You get used to it. You talk to New Yorkers who ride the subway every single day. They got what, subway creatures, I think is what they call them. So, it's just something you deal with. Chicago has really good transit. So I'm excited to see how our transit evolves here and hopefully it gets better because this traffic is ridiculous. I don't know if any of you guys commute. I commuted from Gilroy to Fremont when I worked at Tesla for years. And it sucked. That commute is brutal, but I would have liked to have more options. I think I also want to talk a little bit about what's happening kind of in our market right now too. Because in our housing market, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's really been split in two. Homes over $2 million are selling ridiculous, still getting multiple offers, selling within a week or two. That market's moving quick. Then you have homes under 2 million and they tend to be taking a little bit longer. I think that's because people under 2 million, they're more dependent on what the interest rates are and what their payment is. You're looking at a lot of first-time home buyers. And I think that SB79 unlocks a little bit of lower income I don't want to say lower income. You're still probably going to have $1 million homes, but it unlocks a different tier of home that you're able to buy. Any more than SB9 with the lot splits, being able to sell an ADU can unlock maybe more of an entry level home for someone. So I think their goal is to create a little bit more affordability for that entry level point. So, I think that will help. I think as interest rates come down, you'll also see home prices go up again. Right now, they've been very flat, unless you're talking about condos. Condos have been hit very hard, and there's lots of regulations and things that play into that. That's not what this video is about, but condos have been hit hard. So you can get some really good deals on condos right now. So if you're looking, that might be a place to look, because those deals are out there. Investment properties, so for like a second home that you want for a rental, or maybe just for yourself. There's some good stuff out there. They are basically at about 2018 pricing right now in most cases. But yeah, so the market's been, again, interest rates have been high and jumping up and down, kind of with what's happening in our climate right now with the stuff with Iran. You've definitely seen that impact our interest rates, because as oil's gone up, that's increased inflation, increased worry. The 10-year treasury, which kind of coordinates with where our interest rates are, has gone up, and then that raises interest rates. So if you watch the 10-year treasury and see how that kind of jumps around, if you see that go up, you'll see interest rates go up. It's kind of an interesting correlation there. But yeah, if you have any questions about SB79 or what's happening in the Santa Clara housing market, please put your questions in the chat. Happy to answer your questions. And I think so. Again, one thing that people have, the biggest question I've got is, how does this impact my value in my neighborhood? And really, the biggest impact is going to be, we don't have more land. So single family homes are going to become more valuable because of that. They're not building more single family homes. They're building up to try to accommodate more housing and get more housing. So your single family home is going to appreciate more. Now, if you have a giant apartment building right behind you, that might hurt your property value a little bit. It would probably hurt it. But overall, that's, that is going to be kind of what we're going to have to wait and see what happens, because right now they're going to be able to do that. That's what the law states, that the state dictates that we can go in and build out that within a quarter mile or a half mile of these transit centers. But again, I think cities are going to write their own rules and figure out where they want them to go. But yeah, I hope you guys have gotten a little bit out of this. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Just kind of talking through SB79 a little bit. I think it will be interesting to see if we get more things. I mean, the Cambrian Center, that's supposed to look a little bit like a Santana Row. Are we going to get things like that where they get built out mixed use? You have commercial on the bottom, apartments and condos on top. I think that would be beautiful. I think those sort of centers do really well, and people want to live there because they can walk down, grab their Starbucks, go to their Orange Theory, go to Chipotle or whatever food options they might have. So I think those sort of mixed use does make sense. And I think those are the things that are going to be built out first. There's one Blossom Hill over there. There's one by Capitol. So there's definitely a few places that they've already got plans in. And check out the SB79 video if you have questions about that. I break down where those projects are and show some screenshots from their website on it. Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching. And as always, see you guys in the next video.